start from the very beginning. Abraham, without any of this stuff here, would have brought his son to Mount Moriah, which is where the Dome of the Rock is, to sacrifice Isaac when God provided the lamb and stopped the sacrifice. A few thousand years later, the Israelites begin to come back, and David settles on this land. And at the bottom corner of this wall here, down into the valley, David builds the kingdom of David. And so the Temple Mount would have been probably a small tabernacle at the time. When Solomon, his son, took over, they built the first temple where the Golden Dome sits today. This wall would not have been this tall. There would have been a smaller wall that goes around that city, that ancient city. Fast forward another couple thousand years, there's Nehemiah. He would have rebuilt the city wall that goes down here into the valley. Fast forward a couple thousand years, and over here where you see those two towers right now, that's Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. And so Bethlehem is not too far away from Jerusalem. So when Jesus is crucified, before Jesus' ministry is fully kicked off, Herod decides to rebuild the temple, and he builds this massive wall that goes all around the city at the time of Jesus. And so he rebuilds the temple. This would have been Solomon's colonnade. The temple courts would have been right in the middle. This is the eastern gate that you see right here. And then that tall tower back there is where the magistrate, where Pontius Pilate would have tried Jesus. So on the day of Mount of Olives, Jesus would have walked down Palm Sunday Road, which is right over here. He would have gone through the eastern gate, and they would have celebrated him with palms all along the way. Later that night, he would have gone out the southern steps. He would have done a lot in those southern steps and gone up here to the upper room, that church that you see up there. That's where they had the Lord's Supper, the Last Supper together. He would have come all the way back down into the Garden of Gethsemane, which is at the bottom of the hill. And then Judas betrays him, and he gets arrested, and he goes over here to Caiaphas's house, which is another one of those black dome style houses right around that green field. He's held prisoner there. He's brought over to the temple. He's tried over here, and then he walks Palm Sunday Road. And if you look right past the Golden Dome, right where my finger is, those two black domes are the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Jesus was crucified, and he was buried under that site. That gives you kind of the full picture of the life of Jesus. After Jesus leaves, the disciples have a powerful moment here at the day of Pentecost, which would have been along the southern steps in the temple court. And Peter gives his amazing gospel message, and it says, and 3,000 were baptized. Well, right outside of the southern steps are hundreds or dozens of purification pools where the Jews would have been purified before going into the temple. That is most likely the place where Christians, the first church, was baptized, right outside of the southern steps. Pretty amazing when you see it all together.